بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على خير خلقه وخاتم الأنبياء والمرسلين سيد الأولين والآخرين شفيع المذنبين رحمة للعالمين محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. Assalamu alaikum, my dear brothers and sisters. Nice to see you all again. Glad to see you all haven't left the 4 lectures. So inshallah, hopefully still be here till day of Ashura. Tonight's lecture, inshallah, I want to pose a bit of a hard question, and that is, are we true followers of Imam Hussain alayhi salam? And just keep that question in your mind throughout the lecture, because I want to analyze 2 important themes in Karbala, again stemming from the Quran. One is the incident of the Kufans. How did the people of Kufa invite Imam Hussain alayhi salam, and what was their communication? Why didn't they follow it up? As I said in lecture 1, if you and I saw the face of Rasulullah or of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, perhaps today we would say, of course, we would stand with you. But those people did see the face of Imam alayhi salam or face of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. But they left our Imam on the plains of Karbala. You and I today could be in exactly the same situation. Let us be very honest here. We pray for the reappearance of Imam Muhammad Mahdi Ajallahu Faraja. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. But there is no guarantee that first of all we would follow him. Is there a guarantee, you think? Anybody? I know we say we are Shia, but you think there's a guarantee that we are born into the faith, we would immediately recognize our 12th Imam? No, yes? Mostly no, mostly yes? Mostly no. We're not very confident, but well, let me just give you analysis. I'll share with you one hadith. It's a very famous hadith. This hadith, if I am correct, is quoted in Biharul Anwar. And at the time of the reappearance of our dear 12th Imam, most of his followers would be sun worshippers. Most of his followers, the people who worship Shams, sun. And most of his enemies would be people of religion, would be even in fact Muslims. The people who worshipped the sun, or the people who were originally Kafir, would immediately recognize the message of the 12th Imam. You can even read books like Kitab al-Ghaiba by Sheikh Tusi and others that mention these narrations. We have even other narrations which show at the time that the 12th Imam reappears, inshallah, there will be a lot of conflict and disunity amongst the Muslim Ummah. Even that we can verify today. How many Muslim countries do you see that are united? How many Muslim communities do you see that are united? Forget Shia Sunni, forget countries, let's take Shia. In Seattle, are all Shias united? No. Okay, easy answer. In Sydney, in London, wherever I've gone, for example, wherever Allah has given this small servant opportunity to travel, the same problems exist. Either there is a problem with culture, let's say Pakistanis, Khojas, Iraqis, Iranis, Afghanis, there's some cultural conflict there. Maybe there's a conflict between leaders, and maybe there's politics between different centers, the way different centers are run. I've seen exactly the same thing everywhere. The ahadith, in my humble view, are coming true as we live. Because if you and I are not united, if number 2, we don't seem to be able to recognize the message of the 12th Imam, then we have a huge problem. And when I say message of 12th Imam, I mean something very simple. I'm not trying to be very complicated. I am saying that Hussain alayhi salam simply said that I am standing for Amr al-Ma'ruf and Nahy al-Munkar. In one of the letters I'm going to read out to you, Imam Hussain actually says that me or I as an Imam, I can only be an Imam if I follow the kitab, the book, and I do justice in my society. So if the 12th Imam reappears, inshallah, his key message according to his hadith will be what? He will come and reappear to fulfill the earth with justice and peace, just as it had been filled with injustice and oppression or tyranny. So the key message of the 12th Imam is the message of Hussain alayhi salam, is the message of Rasulullah. There is no change in the message at all. He will bring about justice and peace just as there had been injustice and oppression. Now, just because we are Muslim, it doesn't mean that we are just people. We can cheat, we can steal, we can oppress other people, we can judge other people, we can cause fitna in the community, we can do all sorts of things. We can backbite, we can do all sorts of things. So the people who recognized the 12th Imam, or who stood on the plains of Karbala with Hussain ibn alayhi salam, were lovers of justice. Justice. If you and I see in our religion anything, or in our community, that is unjust, then we have to say that is not Islamic, and that is not the message of Hussain alayhi salam. And I'll give you a few simple examples. Many years ago, you can say that in the last century, for example, the rulings on how we eat food from Ahlul Kitab and other religions have changed and are always changing. In my father's time and my marhum grandfather's time, they were not allowed to eat food from Christians and Jews. And those elders would know this and agree with this. They were not allowed. Later on, rulings changed that today you can eat from our fellow Christian and Jewish brothers. And today you will even find some Maraja, they say you can eat from Hindus and non-Muslims and many others. And the reasoning has changed actually. Some now also say that it depends whether the person is a kafir or against religion or stubborn, and whether the person isn't stubborn. And I'm going to analyze for you what is kafir and all of these things. I want to illustrate to you, previously what we considered as just, what we considered as unjust, or what we considered as impure, has now suddenly become just and pure. Our mentality about society will always change in the way we live. The way we dress today, for example, we will put on clothes that will inshallah be adjustable to the society, modest, but we will also try to fit in with the society. Islam always looks at how the society is changing, but always wants to do justice to people. And we're always trying to understand that. If we say that I've understood everything about Islam, I've understood everything about the Quran, whatever was interpreted 100 years ago will always remain the same, and the 12th Imam will come, I'll recognize it. That is untrue. If the 12th Imam comes, what happens if he says, and he brings a different fiqh rule, and we don't accept it? What happens if he says, well, you shouldn't tell a person that comes to religion, immediately pray and fast. First, teach them in this manner. And we say, no, that's wrong. First of all, they have to do 5 times of prayer. Maybe 12th Imam will say, like Imam Hussain alayhi salam, first, all the sins are forgiven. Let them come. Let them be themselves. If they have a bad habit, let them have that habit. But let them get rid of it. When the Prophet, peace upon him, was spreading the message of Islam, what were people doing? People were abusing women. People were drinking. People were not dressing correctly. Everybody knows that when you have a bad habit, is it easy to get rid of or not? Especially a bad habit that has been there for many years. You can't just say, you said the Shahada, now suddenly become a Muslim. And then say, look, now if you do a bad habit, if you commit a sin, you are a bad person. Sometimes we do have that mentality. Rather, the message of Rasulullah, of Hussain, of our 12th Imam, will be a message of encouragement, a message of justice and mercy. All of us have committed sins. all of us have been neglectful about our faith. But that is why we say, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. That is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Inna Allaha yuhibbu tawabin wal mutahharin. Indeed, Allah loves those who repent and purify themselves. The 12th Imam, in my humble view, will be the one that will encourage justice and mercy and love in the society. These will be his guiding principles. And so the people who are open to accepting that lovely, beautiful message will be the first ones to say, Oh Imam, I support you. Take the example of Wahab and Haniya that I mentioned in lecture 1. Wahab and Haniya were a young Christian couple. They were not Muslims. They were a Christian couple. Now, they had just got married. Now, those of you who are engaged or want to get married, or those of you who are older and remember when you got married, those first 1 or 2 years of your marriage, they're very lovely years. Or you're very much in love with your wife and you try to do the best. You might make mistakes, but there's a lot of love there. You don't want anybody to disrupt that. Like your honeymoon period, you don't want anybody to disturb you. But Wahab and Haniya decided to say, we're going to sacrifice our life for Hussain al-Islam. Now, there's no need for shahada. They're not praying. What are they seeing in Hussain al-Islam? All they saw in Hussain al-Islam was a just man against an unjust man, Yazid ibn Muawiyah. Now if today, or tonight, or tomorrow, 12th Imam comes, and you and I are not just people, that means we are not fair in the way we treat people, we don't give in charity, we don't look after people, we are very self-interested people, we're very greedy people. How will you and I recognize our 12th Imam? What is the chance that we will say, well, this person is just because I am just, so I recognize that quality. It's like if I'm a very happy person and smiling person, I recognize in somebody else when that person is happy and smiling. If I'm very negative and very depressed person, I won't recognize much. I can't recognize what is good in the society. The first teaching and most important teaching of Imam Hussain alayhi salam was to bring goodness and justice in oneself, in one's family, in one's community. Then we will recognize when justice is done, inshallah. Salawat. When it came to the people of Kufa, Imam Hussain alayhi salam remarked, and by the all of these sources I'm using are from Maqtal al-Hussain and Luhuf and Tariq al-Tabr in Kitab al-Irshad. Imam Hussain said that I understand from you, O Kufans, you have said there is no Imam for us, so hurry up. Perhaps Allah may direct us to the right path and the right because of you. What did the Kufan say? Kufan said, we don't have a leader. We don't have an Imam. Exactly what we're calling out today for 12th year. We say, Ajallahu faraja. Allahumma kulli walikal hujjat ibn al-Hasan. All of these du'as or phrases that we say, we are saying, oh Allah, we don't have an Imam. Kufan people said same thing. We don't have an Imam. So they wrote to Imam Hussain alayhi salam, says, we don't have an Imam. Please come to us. We will support you and guide us onto the right path. Okay? Now, when this letter is communicated to Imam Hussain alayhi salam by people like Muslim ibn Aqil, Habib ibn Madahir, and Muslim ibn Awsaja. Let's repeat for the, all children, if you're listening, please write these names down. These are the very important helpers of Imam Hussain, the companions, the helpers, okay? Habib ibn Madahir, Muslim ibn Aqil, Muslim ibn Awsaja. I'll give you 3 only today. Yes?
The first one, Habib what?
Yes, Habib ibn Madahir. And Habib ibn Madahir was an elderly man from Kufa. So why did Habib ibn Madahir, become a very good person that supported Imam Hussain? This is an important question. Habib ibn Madahir, Muslim ibn Aqil, and Muslim ibn Awsaja. Okay? Now all of these great companions, they were from Kufa. Habib ibn Madahir was from Kufa. So how come the rest of the Kufan people, when they wrote this letter, they did not end up on the plains of Karbala. What was Imam Hussein's response? Imam Hussain says, I'm going to send one of these companions to you to check out whether what you are saying is true. Okay? I'll come to you. So, when he said that, when Imam Hussain said, I want to check out whether what you're saying is true, he said in the letter, if I'm going to be your Imam, know this. I am the Imam that follows the kitab, the Quran, and I am your Imam who's going to do justice. So if you are not going to be just, please do not call me to Kufa or don't come to the plains of Karbala. This was his principle. Same thing that the 12th Imam will call us for. Salawat, please. Now, what happened? The people of Kufa did not answer the call of Imam Hussain al-Islam. Now in history, Habib Edna, who will bring the Maktal today, what did he do? Imam Hussain told Habib, oh Habib, you know me better than anyone else. You know Rasulullah, you know our family. You are a man of integrity. Integrity, that means if you are a good person, a good human being, and you are free, then answer my call, Imam Hussain says. Just because I am Muslim doesn't mean that I have good akhlaq. Just because I am Muslim doesn't mean I am free. I might blindly follow everything. Imam Hussain tells Habib, you are a free person and a man of good akhlaq. If you choose, please follow me. What did Habib do? When Habib received that communication, he rushed to his Mawla, Imam Hussain al-Islam. Rest of the people of Kufa stayed. When Habib and others told Imam Hussain that the people of Kufa are not coming, imagine how Imam Hussain felt. Can you imagine that? It's like here, we're all together. I talk to you during Fatiha time. We eat together. We say we'll visit each other. We say, yeah, I'll come to your lecture. I'll say, I'll come to your house. We have a very good relationship for many years. Suddenly, when you need it the most, let's say you are ill, let's say you have a cause to fight for, I don't come. Let's say you know me very well. You know that yes, Imran is very sincere. But on the day that you need me, I don't come. How would you feel? How would you feel if your family member, your cousin, your friend doesn't come to you in the hospital, for example? You would feel extremely low. But what were the words of Hussain ibn Ali al-Islam? He says, indeed, the Kufan people have made the situation for me so fearful, so insecure, that all of these letters of the people of Kufa don't mean anything. They are my killers, he says. The people of Kufa didn't do anything. They didn't pick up a sword, but they left Hussain on the plains of Karbala. And what is Hussein's response? These people who left me alone are my killers. This is Imam Hussein's words. When they have committed this and they have not feared Allah for its prohibition, they have demolished it. So Allah should drive them and make them very small and make them very low, that they are less than a piece of cloth that a woman uses in the time of menstruation. This is how graphic he was. He says, those people who left me alone in the plains of Karbala, they're worthless people. They are less than a dirty piece of cloth. Imam Hussain felt let down by the people of Kufa. When we pray for our 12th Imam, this is my personal word, this is what I say in sajda. I say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I say, oh Allah, please make me a part of the 12th Imam's supporters. I always say that. Because I'm not confident in myself that I will recognize and support our beloved 12th Imam. That is a dua that I recite in sajda. Because I could end up like the Kufan people. And what use is all of these majalises? What use is every Muharram that I attend when I can't even understand my religion, or I'm not willing to think about my religion, and I'm not willing to think about what is justice in Islam. Salawat. And so, one of the key Quranic teachings that we have, which you will see repeated throughout the Quran, is the meaning of kufr, disbelief. We have Suratul Kafirun. We have many other verses early on in the Quran which talk about the people of disbelief. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches us the difference between belief or faith, iman, which we'll tackle later on, and kufr, disbelief. The easy answer is to say, well, of course, we are not kafir. We have said the shahada. But actually, from the information I will give you, maybe it may make you surprised as to the various meanings of kufr and whether you and I may fall into those categories. The first thing is that when we talk about kufr, it comes from kafara yakfiru. Kafara yakfiru means to cover or hide something. When you say somebody is a kafir, it means that he is covering or hiding the truth. Covering or hiding the truth. If I know that Allah exists and I cover it, I am a kafir. But kafir, or the verbal root, comes from kufran. What does kufran mean? To be irreligious, not to believe in God, but also to neglect one's faith and to be ungrateful. Now I could say, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah. But I'm ungrateful in my life. So I have a layer of disbelief in me. For example, I don't say shukr for Allah's blessings. Or I'm very ungrateful for what Allah has given me. That means I have a part of me that is very ungrateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is the meaning of Alhamdulillah? When we sneeze, we say, the children? When we sneeze, we say?
Cheers.
Yeah, okay, one says hachu. You can say hachu, it's no problem. You can say hachu, but then say Alhamdulillah, okay? When we sneeze, we say Alhamdulillah, okay? When we recite Surah Al-Fatiha, we say Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. What does that mean? Praise belongs to Allah, Lord of all the worlds. But the meaning of hamd is actually the opposite of kufr or kufran. Alhamd means praise. But in the tafsir, in Majm al-Bayan and Tafsir al-Qummi, the ulama say that alhamd actually means shukr. Now when we translate Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, we say praise belongs to Allah, the Lord of all the worlds. But you can translate it as thanks be to Allah, Lord of all the worlds. Why? Why can you say thanks as well? Because when you say praise, you are saying that I'm praising Allah for all of these things that He has created, for all of these worlds that He has created. So I'm acknowledging the source of this blessing. So if you say shukran, or you say thanks be to Allah, it means the same thing. You're saying thanks be to Allah for that He has created all of these worlds and all of these beauties that are around me. In English, we have opposites. If I am proud, the opposite is humble. If I am stingy, the opposite is generous. The opposite of alhamd, shukr, is kufr. Kufr means ungratefulness. We are always told that when we finish our prayer, the least we can do when we go into sajda is say, shukran lillah. If we don't say anything else, we say, shukran lillah, shukran lillah, shukran lillah. Because by saying shukran lillah, we are removing that ungratefulness and stinginess from our hearts. One of the cures for being ungrateful is to say, shukran lillah. Salawat. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Surah Al-Baqarah verse 6, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا سَوَاءٌ عَلَيْهِمْ أَأَنذَرْتَهُمْ أَمْ لَمْ تُنذِرْهُمْ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. Surah Al-Baqarah. As for the faithless, it's the same whether you warn them or don't warn them. They will not have faith. When we call somebody a kafir, we have to be very careful. It's very easy, and I've heard this a lot, and maybe you have as well, and this also happens in other religions as well. Muslims or Christians or Jews, we sometimes have a habit of saying that anybody that is a non-Muslim is a kafir. So people who are in Seattle, or people of other religions, or they are non-Muslim, they are kafir. Where do we get any notion that just because somebody is a non-Muslim, how does it make them kafir? In this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, doesn't matter whether you warn them, they're not going to believe. Which means the trait of a kafir is stubbornness. And also acknowledging that maybe there is a truth, but he or she doesn't want to believe it. Richard Dawkins, Sam Shepard, these are atheists today. You can call them kafir because they have said, well, we do not believe in God. And they're quite stubborn about it. If you watch their debates and videos, Richard Dawkins, Sam Shepard, they say very blatantly, well, God is a myth. I don't need to believe in God. God makes me weak. Who is God? In fact, they speak very insulting about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You can use the label of kafir for those people. But you cannot use the label of kafir for general non-Muslims that live in the world. Whether of other religions or whether of no religion. Why? Because if you see somebody walking down the street, you don't know what religion he is or she is. Number two, even if somebody says, well, I'm not sure whether I believe in God. And that's quite a common response. When I was in school, I studied philosophy, and there's only 10 of us in the class. And there was only one Christian there was me, one Muslim, and several others. Most of my friends, when I asked them, what do you believe, or do you believe in God? One of my good friends used to tell me, I believe in a force. I believe in a force, but I'm not sure what it is. Now, how would Islam categorize him? What do you think? He says, I believe in a force, I'm not really sure what it is. Is Islam such a rigid religion that it denies people to search their own faith? Does Islam have a label for this person? In English, that person would either be known as two things. Either he is on a journey, or either he is known as an agnostic. Agnostic means somebody that doesn't know either way or doesn't care either way. And you might say a number of people are like that. They're happy to work, they're happy to watch football, baseball, provide for the family, go out to eat on the weekends, have a holiday, and that's life for them. Doesn't mean they are disbelievers of God. A disbeliever, according to the Quran, has this trait of being stubborn and understanding the truth but covering it up. It's like when we lie. I know the truth, but I lie. When I know the truth and I lie, I have some disbelief or some ungratefulness about me. During the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allahumma salli ala Abu Jahl, one of the enemies of the Prophet, and 5 other members of the Quraysh were known as kuffar, were known as disbelievers. And the Quran calls them disbelievers for 2 reasons. Number 1, they were harassing the Prophet to such a degree that they were against any principles that were coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And number 2, they used to tell the Prophet openly, we do not believe in your God. We do not believe in your God. One second. When Habib ibn Madahir went to the other camp, went to Umar ibn Sa'ad, he went there because Hussain ibn al-Islam told Habib, go and ask Umar ibn Sa'ad for permission that we can have some time to pray. Because Habib told Hussain ibn al-Islam, oh Hussain, I cannot go in the battlefield when I have not prayed with you, even though we may be killed. I want to pray with you. Let me have one final prayer with you. It was a time of Dhuhr. When Habib went to Umar ibn Sa'ad and says, my Mawla has asked for time to pray, what was Umar ibn Sa'ad's response? Umar ibn Sa'ad says, I will not give you any time to pray and your prayers will not be accepted. I don't believe in your God. What was Habib's response? Habib told Umar ibn Sa'ad, how can you say this? How can your prayers be accepted when Imam Hussain is going to die? And if our Mawla's prayers are not going to be accepted, how will your prayers be accepted? That means their understanding of God or refusal to accept God was totally different to Hussain ibn Ali Islam. Today in the world, we see ISIS, we see other terrorist organizations. What understanding of God do they have? That they say that we should do jihad and kill Christians or kill non-Muslims. This understanding is totally alien to Islam. In Islam, a kafir is known in two ways. Either he is a kafir who has knowledge, like I said, for example, Abu Jahl, like Umar ibn Sa'ad, like Yazid ibn Muawiyah, like Richard Dawkins, for example. Or he is a kafir that doesn't have knowledge. Now somebody might come to you and say, well, yes, I don't believe in God, but he's not a well-read person, he's not an educated person. You still can't call him kafir. Even if he says openly, well, I don't believe in God, but I'm not sure why, or I've read this book, and you can see that he hasn't read many things. Even then you can't call him kafir. Islam is not a religion of labels. First and foremost, we are known as Muslim. Shia, Sunni, all this comes afterwards. We are born and known as Muslim. What is the meaning of Muslim? Anybody? Any child? Yes?
A person who worships Allah.
Okay, worships God. Anybody else? Yes?
Muslim means to serve the Prophet.
Serve the Prophet. Good. Any lady? Any girl? Yes?
Yeah, Allah's servants.
Well, Allah's servants. Very good answers. Very close. We are Allah's servants, but there's something we do, which is we submit to none other than God. Now tell me, God cannot be put in a box, can he? God cannot just be for Shia or Sunni or Christian or Jew. Even in original Hindu scriptures, there is an understanding of one God. Even many other people of other religions. I went to Thailand several months ago, and I was asking the taxi driver all the time, because it's nice to ask common people. I was asking the taxi driver, what do you believe in? And he must have found me quite irritating because he was driving and I kept asking him. I was saying, okay, you're saying that you believe in Buddha, this is a Buddhist, but he says, yeah, I believe in light, and I believe in good deeds, and I believe that human beings are not the end, and we worship something greater. I was trying to make out what he was saying. And I'm thinking that this man, whatever he's calling his God, whatever he's calling it, he believes in something greater than human beings. We say Allahu Akbar. God is the greatest, number one. Number two, he says God cannot be God. He says God is not like a human being, he told me. So that means he believes in the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because God is Ya Hayyu Ya Qayyum. He is everlasting, all living everlasting. Or God is Nur, He is light. And we know that many people call God light. We must understand that if somebody is born in a different household with a different religion, he is going to believe whatever his parents say. It's as simple as that. He is going to believe in whatever his community says. Did we have a choice? All I know about God is that God created me. I can't make God like a human being, and this is the God of Rasulullah. That's what I was taught. And you were probably taught exactly the same thing. So tell me, are we going to think about God as light? Are we going to think God as love? A lot of Christians say God is love, if you've ever heard them. So we have to be open that Allah's attributes, which are 99, which I mentioned yesterday, are accessible to every single human being. And when somebody is on his or her journey, like Hur, like Wahab, like Hania, like Qamar, like many others, we should encourage them rather than putting labels upon them. Salawat. There is yet a few more interesting things about the notion of being kafir. When we are kafir, it doesn't mean that that's the end for us. If we have a disbelief, it doesn't mean that's the end for us. The end comes in our life when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts a seal on our hearts. Okay? The verse of the Quran which is very important for all of us is the following. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. ختم الله على قلوبهم وعلى سمعهم وعلى أبصارهم غشاوة وَلَهُمْ عَذَابٌ عَظِيمٌ. Allah has set a seal on their hearts, on the disbelievers' hearts, and their hearing, and there is a blindfold on their sight, and there is a great punishment for them. What does that mean? This is a metaphor for our spiritual and intellectual blindness. If you and I'll give you a very simple example. If we have a very bad habit that has remained for the rest of our life, let's say we're really impatient people. For the rest of our life, we remain impatient. We get angry on our family, on our children, on other people that we meet, and we have a very bad way that we speak to people. For the rest of our life, we remain impatient. Why do you think that is? Why do you think we will always remain impatient? Or let's say I'm a very stingy person. For ever since you have known me, say Imran is really stingy. Okay, yeah, he did some good things. You come to my funeral. Yeah, he did some very good things, but I still remember him as a really stingy person. Why did I always remain stingy? Because according to this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts a seal on our hearts. What is a seal? According to our tafasir in hadith, seal is known as tab. Tab means a print or a stamp. Now you know when you go to the post office or a company and they stamp your letter or they stamp your exam script, it's like that. To make it official, you have got grade A, B or C, they make it official. Examiner says I want proof. Where's the official document? You have a stamp. Allah puts a stamp, okay? A stamp on our heart. And that stamp prevents us from seeing anything else. It's like a black imprint, okay? That black imprint is what Allah is talking about in the verse. Because Allah says that I put a seal on your hearts so that you couldn't hear and you couldn't see. Now of course they can see and hear. It means they could not hear or see from their heart. Now for the life of me, I could not see in my life that I was a very stingy person. Nobody pointed it out to me and I never learned myself, so I remained stingy. And I did not want to learn about it. One of the tragedies of human beings is we think we know everything. We think we are right all the time. Is that the case? We think we are right. This lecture is perfect. And I know when I go home, my wife or the family will always criticize me. I'm not blaming her, but this is the problem. Everything, and I have to be humble enough to say, yes, mashallah, you're right. Okay? So every person has to accept some criticism. I can't always be right. I could have done a better lecture. Okay? But the seal comes when I tell myself, I am always right and there's nothing for me to improve. When you and I are like that, Allah puts a stamp on our heart where we cannot see how to improve. When we cannot improve, that is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts His barrier. As He says in Surah Al-Yasin, I put a barrier in front of them and a barrier behind them. So that means wherever they looked, they could not see anything, they could not move. One of the things that we must pray for in this life, learning from the people of Kufa, learning from Imam Hussain al-Islam, is to acknowledge that we can always improve and answer the call of Imam Muhammad Mahdi. Is always say to ourselves that by the end of our lives, my akhlaq should be better than it was 10 years ago, or 5 years ago, or 1 year ago. Every Muharram that we come, every Ramadan that we attend, has our conduct improved? I can say to you my conduct has maybe improved 10 to 20%. And I'm in my 30s, how many Muharrams have I attended? Like these children sitting here, my parents took me. But what was there for me to improve? Did the lecturer explain the concepts correctly? Did I know what I should be improving in? If we don't teach our children and ourselves the ability to be humble, humble is khudu, humble, humility, which is the opposite of kibr, of being proud, then that means they will forever remain with a stamp on their heart. Salawat. One of the tragedies that we are facing today is that the person who rushed to the call of Hussain ibn alayhi salam was an elderly person known as Habib ibn Madahir. His beard was white. You and I sitting here today, some of us, many of us are young, some of us are old. Will we have the strength and the courage to answer the call of our beloved 12th Imam? Would we have got up from our chairs with our sticks? Would our children have got up like On and Muhammad, like Bibi Sakina salamullahi alayha, like Qasim? Would they have got up like these dear children did and supported Abu Abdullah? Are we teaching our children that our Prophet and our Imams are more important than our fathers and mothers, are more important than the money and the houses and everything that we have? This is the teaching that will remain with them in the qabr. When Habib ibn Madahir heard the call of Hussain ibn Ali alayhi salam, Habib said, I must rush to my master. Imam Hussain told Lady Zainab and Abbas alayhi salam, "O Abbas, keep a standard, keep a flag for one person who is going to come and support us." When Habib rode from the distance, Imam Hussain told Zainab and Abbas, "Look, there is a person coming from Kufa who is not going to leave us alone. There is a person coming to help us." Habib comes and he embraces Hussain ibn Ali alayhi salam. Do you know what Habib says? He says, "Oh Hussain, my beard is white, but when I see you, I feel young again. Oh Hussain, if I can fight alongside of you, tell me, why are the people of Kufa leaving you alone when they saw the face of your dear father, Ali? When they saw the face of the one who gave them morsels of food?" Hussain said, "Oh Habib, this is the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala." Habib hears a voice. Who is that voice? It is Lady Zainab. Lady Zainab gives salams to Habib. "Salamun alaykum ya Habib." Habib starts crying. He tells Zainab, "Oh Zainab, why are you giving me salam? I am unworthy to receive your salam. Tell me, will you and I be unworthy to hear the call of our 12th Imam?" Lady Zainab says, "Salamun alaykum." But Habib cries and says, "Oh Zainab, when Hussain is martyred, tell me, oh Zainab, what will happen to you? For this white beard, this frail body cannot defend you, oh Zainab. Oh Zainab, when you are put in chains, how will I defend you, for you are the daughter of Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam." Habib finally says, "Oh Hussain, I am bringing my family with me, my brother and cousin. On the day of Ashura, it is noon, it is Dhuhr time." Habib tells Hussain, "Oh Hussain, do not let me go into the battlefield unless I have prayed Dhuhr prayer with you." Hussain tells Habib, "Go and ask the enemy to give us some time that we may pray to our beloved Lord." Habib goes to the camp of Umar ibn Sa'd. Umar ibn Sa'd insults him and insults Hussain. He says, "Oh Habib, tell Hussain that his prayers will not be accepted and his head will be cut in a few hours." Habib says, "Oh Umar ibn Sa'd, I am now raising my sword, for you have insulted Hussain." Habib goes into the battlefield. He kills many, but alas, he falls to the ground. His beard is full of blood. He says, Hussain, 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 I have come from Kufa to defend you, and I did not get a chance to pray with you. My hands are separated. My hands are behind my back because I fought, and I wanted to raise them and say, Allahu Akbar. Habib shouts out, oh Allah, I did not get a chance to pray with my master Hussain. Hussain rushes to Habib's body. Hussain says, oh Habib, please do not cry. You will pray with my grandfather Rasulullah in Jannah. Please give my salams to Rasulullah. And when you pray with him, remember that I too soon will follow, and I will do sajda behind my grandfather, who to this day I am crying for I have left Medina and I have not given salams to him or visited his qabr. Habib passes away. Hussain tells Habib, oh Habib, I have lost a man who recited the whole of the Quran in one night. Tell me, brothers and sisters, when Allah takes us, when our 12th Imams comes, what will we teach ourselves and what will we teach our children? Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. ربنا لا تجعلنا مع قوم الظالمين. ماتم الحسين يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين